So hi, Lucy.
Hi, Theo. Nice to see you.
And you. So we're very excited about the summer school. So as the coordinator of SOAS Central Yoga Studies, I'm really excited because the talks are great, but it's great to go a little bit deeper into things, and the summer school is an opportunity for us to do that. So I thought maybe we'd spend a little moment going through some of the practical details and getting other people as excited about the summer school as we are, if that would be cool.
That sounds a good idea.
All right. So as our convener, like, remind us of the practical stuff. What's happening and when?
Okay, so the practical details are that we start on the, let me make sure I've got this right, the 28th of June. Yeah, so Monday the 28th of June, we run until the 9th of July. So it's 2 weeks, and we have 2 sessions a day, morning and afternoon. And we will also be having, because it's online this year, obviously, because of world conditions.
Yes.
So we'll be running every day that I'm not running a session. So basically I just run a session at the beginning and the end to frame it for people. But on every other day, I'll be hosting sort of mini town halls, so that we'll have a chance to kind of process what's been going on and discuss issues that come up, and also deal with any kind of housekeeping issues, so that people have a point of contact that is not just about the formal teaching. So we're hoping that that will help build some of the kind of community that online forums can make a bit more tricky. Yeah. So that's that plan. So it's running for 2 weeks in the daytimes, and we will also be recording sessions, so that if students can't attend for any reason, they are able to watch later. The sessions will only be available for a limited time, though, because of copyright and things like that. However, we do prefer that students can attend at least, you know, a good chunk of the sessions live, just because it will be a better experience. That we're basing the course on kind of interaction with students, or sorry, with teaching faculty and with other students. So the more live you can do, the better, but there is a backup if you can't do live for whatever reason.
So whereas like when we do talks and events like that, it's more of a, like, there's a question and an answer section, but mostly it's about listening. It's about a passive experience. This is about being able to actually have conversations and learn from and talk with some of these scholars. And so tell us a few of the scholars, because they're some of our favorite people.
Yeah, so we've got loads of really exciting people. So we have, so we based around 2 kind of main areas, which we'll talk about later. But one is the Routledge Handbook of Yoga and Meditation Studies, which came out earlier this year. So the 2 editors of that, Suzanne Newcomb and Karen O'Brien-Kopp, will be teaching on various sessions, actually. We also have people from the Hatha Yoga Project, which obviously is very connected to the SOAS Central Yoga Studies, including is he the chair or the director? So James
I think he's our chair, technically.
So Jim will be teaching. Also Jason Birch, he'll be teaching on pre-colonial Hatha Yoga, and Jacqueline Hargreaves will be joining him to talk about the Hatha Vyasa Paddhati, which is a very interesting text, which gives us some clues about vinyasa practice as modern practitioners would know it. So they'll be giving us some insight into that. And we also have Daniela Bevilacqua, again from the Hatha Yoga Project. And then we have from Vienna, Borean Larios talking to us, and Finn Garrity from Brown. And so then we have Ruth Westerby, who is at SOAS, and Amelia Wood, and yourself.
Oh yes, I'm doing a session. I nearly forgot.
Yeah, we're doing sessions. And we also have Lydia Wojciak, who will be talking to us about Sanskrit. But so there'll be an introduction to Sanskrit, but it will also include a discussion on the tendency in yoga studies to prioritize texts in Sanskrit over Indian vernacular languages, and what the implications of that might be. Have I forgotten anyone? I don't think so. No,
so it's some fantastic scholars, but also there's such a wide range of the possible kind of approaches and subjects within yoga studies in there, because you've got that pre-modern, the philology, you've got the modern contemporary issues, you've got, you know, the history, you've got all those things in.
So the way we've structured it is we're looking at sort of through the lens of the Routledge Handbook, like what are the disciplinary framings and critical issues in yoga studies. So Suzanne and Karen will be leading a session on current issues within the field of yoga studies, like what's going on, what's current, what are people doing. And then from that, we're looking at different disciplinary framings as well. So Daniela will be talking to us about ethnography as a disciplinary framing. Finn's work looks at sound studies, and particularly the work around mantra and the mantra Om. And we do have others, but I'm going to go blank on this point. It's like there's just
there's so much.
Yeah, and there's also Karen's going to be discussing in a separate session issues around yoga, race, and decoloniality, and Suzanne's going to be looking at yoga as a health intervention. And then there were certain things that came up if anyone's read the very good introduction to the Routledge Handbook written by Karen and Suzanne, is they point out that there are issues that are coming up in yoga studies now that weren't published or weren't at a point for them to include in the handbook. So we're looking at addressing some of that. So Amelia, who's doing her PhD at SOAS at the moment and is looking at spiritual abuse in modern yoga, will be kind of raising some of those issues for us. And Ruth will be talking about women in yoga, like where are they in historical texts. We've got all these modern female practitioners, but where were they? So what's going on there? But also this paradox of the divine feminine, both in a kind of wider Indian religious landscape, and also how that might have been contextualized and appropriated in some ways in the West.
And I'm doing teaching relationships more generally, because my work also was too recent to get in the Routledge Handbook as well. So yeah, it's a lot, like it's a whole thing. But I love that thing you said about this being about disciplinary approaches and critical issues. Like those are the two things that we're talking about. And I think for me, it's what people who want to dive deeper into yoga studies sometimes have the most difficulty getting their heads around, is the different disciplines and different approaches, and how you make sense of all of this diversity in as best we can as it evolves.
Well, yeah, it's certainly challenging, and I think Florian's session will shed some interesting light on that, because it's the kind of slightly hidden, not really talked about in academia, but beginning to be talked about more, but issue around the scholar practitioner. So the person who is an academic but is a practitioner or not. So that I think will be very interesting.
Which we would know nothing about, obviously.
So, and we do also have, of course, the wonderful kind of historical philological work that the Hatha Yoga Project are doing. So I think it's going to be fairly intense, but very exciting and very rich. And a great group of people.
But at the same time, there's an accessibility in that because it's not an academic summer school as such. It means there are no entry requirements formally, right? We're aiming for this to be as accessible as possible for anyone who feels that they can access this level of material, right?
Absolutely. And the way they're not really assessments, but and they're optional for students. But what we're hoping to facilitate is that students will give some kind of presentation in pairs, so it facilitates kind of communication and community to us as a group, as a kind of presentation of what they've learned and how they've kind of evolved. And Ruth at the beginning is going to lead an introductory session to kind of help them kind of frame and orient around all of that, so there will be support with that. So we're hoping that gives an opportunity for feedback, and also for students to be able to just advance their thinking processes on these things, and kind of look at a kind of different level or a new way of articulating some of these concepts possibly. And we do have students from a very wide range of backgrounds, so from practitioners to scholars, and from all over the world, which is very exciting. So yeah,
and that's what's wonderful about being online this time as well. Like, it's lovely to be in person, and we know we're going to miss that, and we all miss that. We miss that in lots of ways at the centre, but at the same time, the amount, the connections we're now able to make across the world is really exciting, I think.
Yeah, and we have like China, Japan, Costa Rica, Singapore, Ukraine, yeah, and the UK, and and India, of course. So
yes. And just a few places left, I'm guessing.
Yes, so I can't remember the exact numbers, but we've got something like 6 or 7 places left, and the booking deadline is UK time, the end of the 7th of June.
So people, if they haven't heard about it so far, can really need to get a move on to figure out applying. And where do they go to
so it's on the SOAS website, so all the information's on the website. I won't even try and speak the link, but we'll include it somewhere that people can copy it.
I will. I'll put it in. I'll make sure when I put this up, but it's basically on our Central Yoga Studies website as a subsite of the SOAS site. Yes, and they just go to the SOAS web store and apply that way. Hopefully it's easy. That's our theory, that it's easy to.
It should be. It should be very straightforward. So it's basically like any kind of online purchase.
And any comments? Any questions of you're the person people can reach out to?
Indeed.
Fielding all the inquiries. Great. All right. Well, thank you. I honestly am excited. It's a big event for us in the year. We didn't get to do it last year at all. So it's nice to be doing it. And I'm really glad you're there to make it happen. So